We will listen to Isaac Timm, then Mary Ellen Greenwood, and then Dianne Hardy. So in that order, thank you.
We can make you room.
Yes, put it forward a
We'll
little
make
bit.
room.
While I rise up. No, that's
You
not.
do that well, Isaac. You do the rising up
Rise,
so
Isaac.
well.
Right. Oh, this one sucks because it's so slow. So slow.
Is it a new one?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. Is
So-
it good in other ways?
Yeah.
All right.
Takes weight off. Doesn't make me hurt.
Okay.
All right. That's why I wanted to go
Call
first to
sound
get
in.
all this done.
All the adjustments.
Yeah.
That's good.
No one else has to have it adjusted and everything's good. All right.
Beauty.
There we go. All right. I only have one. It's called Beastman. Captured in the gritty 8mm aperture, the Beastman looks over his shoulder, so blurred by distance and movement that many only see a man in an ape suit, a prank on the flower children. The plane crawls frame by frame into the second tower, every station, every hour. Impact gray smoke, and they fall like leaves, human beings in business suits, sensible skirts falling from hundreds of feet. Real video footage, hour after hour, people falling. They chainsaw Bigfoot out of birch, redwood, an 8-foot carving off Route 99. Looks like Barry White, 2 tons of furry get-it-on, smiling down at tourists who ham it up. But there are true believers, strapping cameras to trees, finding clues, kneeling in elk-smashed meadowgrass, plaster casting, foot-related depressions, following his path. All the students in the cafeteria crane their necks towards the floating televisions. Life on the West Coast goes in stop and goes. My aunt listening to a busy signal. Where is Lana? Where is baby Lola? Where did they go when Manhattan turned gray? She watches the ghosts willing out familiar faces. Standing on the ridge, he looks down on Willow Creek. Even among the trees, humanity pauses. Eggs and ham burn on stoves, people frozen in the only convenience store, coffee cooling as it falls, the man-made pyroclastic flow opening on Broadway. If I were a beast man, I would turn, run into the ferns across the ridges, into deep leafy valleys far away from any signal, believe in the woods, the mist, in the air. I would be a beast man, unknowing that belief brings death, that a man in a desert can machine gun shatter a whole nation, that men can fall onto skyscrapers, the Pentagon, a field in Pennsylvania. I would bury myself so deep in coastal fog that I would never see the sky scarred by vapor trails. I would believe in the beast man hiding so deep in the woods that they can't find him. Only a gritty glimmer passing into the forest where I will not stand, too shocked to speak in my pajama pants. Not believing it is real, clear as day, on that shimmering screen on the most blue perfect September. And now the elevator show. There we go. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Isaac. That was great. That was phenomenal.
Thank you. 30 years ago today, I was sitting in my 4th grade classroom when my teacher walked in and told us that the Challenger had exploded. And that was one of the most vivid memories that I have of my childhood. And I'd been actually working on a piece that mentions this, and I wanted to share that tonight. With my classes, I tend to write with them. If they have an assignment, I'll write along with them. And we were looking at reading responses, and I chose to respond to a Langston Hughes poem. So I'll share that first, and then get into my stuff, which is subpar compared to Langston Hughes. I call it astronaut food. Dream deferred. What happens to a dream deferred? Does it dry up like a raisin in the sun, or fester like a sore and then run? Does it stink like rotten meat, or crust and sugar over like a syrupy sweet? Maybe it just sags like a heavy load, or does it explode? Langston Hughes called it a raisin, one of the tangibles he used to describe what happens to those hopes and visions we create that get put aside. Granted, he also compared the dream deferred to rotten meat, over-sugared candy, and an oozing wound. But at least a raisin is something that, while disappointing, sad, and the last element chosen from any trail mix, is something you can chew and swallow while figuring out what went wrong. A raisin is a raisin, though, no matter how you hide it in that waxy film mysteriously called yogurt, or dip it in cheap chocolate, it's still a wasted end to fruit that once had potential. Costco at least sells freeze-dried grapes, ones that are preserved and sweet and a borderline sacrament for anyone who dreamed of becoming an astronaut, but who now sits in a cubicle with a computer and a deadline. Freeze-dried grapes remind the white-collar worker that there's still a moment of escape to be found in, my God, I bet Neil Armstrong would have endorsed this astronaut food, brought to you by America's favorite progressive box store. When I was a child, I wanted to be a librarian-astronaut. I loved books with the same sanctity that right-wing Christians claim to have when it comes to the age of the earth. Books needed to be loved and cared for, defended against the tears and dog ears and gum of the non-believers. So my calling would be the one who sat behind a desk and reminded children that books did not belong at the dinner table or around sticky brothers and sisters. The astronaut part came in 1985, fourth grade, when Krista McAuliffe was chosen out of 11,000 people to be the first teacher in space, a regular person. If a teacher could shoot into the darkness and float and see Earth from thousands of miles away, then I would be the first librarian to do it. I would even land on the moon and leave a copy of Jacob Have I Loved, the best book in the Greenwood Elementary Library, no question, next to the reinforced American flag there. But McAuliffe's dream was deferred forever. In early 1986, I saw that part on TV with everyone else in my classroom and with my teacher, Mr. Parks, who cried that January day and no other day. Langston Hughes wondered if the deferred dream explodes, and I saw the Challenger do that, swirling and pluming into clouds of debris and fuel and human remains. I didn't stop reading. And I would teach like Krista McAuliffe did, but I would stay on Earth instead of float in zero gravity. And sometimes I would feel that other part that Hughes mentioned, the sagging and heavy load of deferring, especially when someone else wanted his dreams more and convinced me that I could have a turn, eventually, someday. 9 years of marriage, 9 years of moving after another job was lost, another employer was blamed, and another promise was vowed of, in a few years you can start your PhD. I just need to establish myself here. Give me 5 years. And I waited, because a good wife always supports dreams, or at least the dream wife does. She defers with a smile. And the sagging deepened. I stopped writing, stopped reading, stopped caring, and then one day, a phone call to Earth from 800 miles away, where his latest job had begun, and a new promise had been made, and a new move was in the works. I don't want to be married anymore, he said. And I exhaled. The burden lifted. The rotten meat replaced, the wound treated with a cleansing antiseptic, the sugary candy tossed. What happens to a dream remembered and put within your grasp one more time? It's no dried out remnant of what went wrong. It's astronaut food. Thank you.
I'm reading again from my book that I wrote a few years ago. It's a childhood memoir of growing up in a little town in eastern Utah in the 1950s. My dad was the principal of the only elementary school there. And this is just an excerpt from a chapter. Sunday evenings were special because radio programs began at 6. We all gathered around to listen to our Miss Brooks, the Whistler, and especially Amos and Andy. I liked them the best. Sometimes I understood the jokes, but when I didn't, I laughed with Mama and Daddy anyway. Amos and Andy are two white men playing the part of Negroes, Dianne, said Mama. Do you know what a Negro is, Danny? That was my nickname. Daddy asked. Yes, I saw one waiting for the bus by Tobel's Market. When? He frowned. I don't know. Mama sent me there. Lorene, Danny shouldn't be up at the store alone with people like that around. We were out of bread. We wouldn't be if you'd baked some, Daddy said. It's not like you don't know how. Oh, I get it, Mama retorted. I need to have a baking day every week like your mother. Don't get started on her again. Mama was already started. Heaven forbid, if you should have to eat store-bought bread, you might lose some weight. It is your goal to get as fat as she is. Daddy slammed out of the house. Mama went to her bedroom and shut the door. Mary fixed herself a sandwich for supper. Amos and Andy weren't funny anymore. I unplugged the radio and went to bed. Most times the shows turned out better. Daddy tried to hug Mama one night during the Whistler. I don't think she liked mushy stuff because she pushed him away and went, ugh. Later I heard them talking. What's wrong with my hugging you, Lorene? She shrugged. Never stops there. It always leads to something else. Daddy whispered something to her and she brightened a little. Why didn't your parents have it done when you were a baby? It's up to you, John. It might help. I don't know. The following week, we only had school through Thursday. Everybody was out on Friday because it was the first day of the deer hunt. Daddy left for Salt Lake right after school. He'd have an operation Friday morning, stay with Aunt Marguerite and Uncle Marion until Saturday, and then drive home. Operations are for people who are sick, I thought. Does Daddy have to get the operation tomorrow, Mama? He told Mr. Nelson he's never missed the first day of the deer hunt. Mama said yes. He needed the long weekend so he could be back to school on Monday. Operations are where people get cut open and sewed back up, Mary said. Where's Daddy getting cut open, Mama? She hesitated. His operation is on his pee-pee. Doctors say it'll be better for hygiene. What's that? Cleaning up. Daddy will be able to clean himself better. And I thought, I always clean myself and I'm only 4. I had washed the inside of my ears and the back of my neck ever since the time Grandpa looked in my ears and asked, are you growing potatoes in there? Daddy arrived home Saturday evening. Mama asked him how he was and he said, sore. Then he saw me, smiled and said, come give me a big hug, Danny, but take it easy and don't jump on me for a couple of days, okay?